Hey, A&P students, welcome back to part two of joints, okay, and all the things associated with joints. As you can see, based on the pictures over there, figures on the right-hand side, we are going to be talking about range of motion, movement, and the words associated with that. Not just the words associated with it, but the first part is how, okay, structurally, these things are designed and what they do, and then go into a nice long look at each of the types of movement and so on and so forth. So it'd be pretty cool. You'll get to see me do a lot of this and then some of that, and so yeah, it'll be mind blowing, probably not the right word, but it'll be pretty special. It'll be a special bond between us as a class. So hey, welcome back, A&P students. Thank you for tuning us in. As you can see in there, 3:05, so a few hours after getting that first one done. I don't know, for some reason it just takes a long time for the website that I make these out of with Loom to process it, but I get other things done in the meantime, and then come back to it when it's ready to go. So hey, again, thank you. Hope everything's going well for you. Hope you are enjoying yourself, and everything is looking well as we move closer and closer to that Thanksgiving break and all of that. And so let's get started. Hey, you're gonna like this one. You are going to like this, and I'm not real sure time wise how it's going to go. It certainly won't be no 55-minute one like you had in part one. But there's not going to be a lot to write down. There's not, matter of fact, if I just show you this right here, I don't know if you can see the penmanship on there, but that's just a half a page. So it's more pointing and identifying in the second half, especially. Usually I have two full pages of notes and stuff, and to talk about or to address, but not this case. But we are going to be looking at a lot of stuff. So we'll just see how it goes time-wise, and who knows, maybe we'll get out here in half an hour. Wouldn't mind that. It's 3:06 on a Sunday afternoon, and got a nice dinner plan. We've got a meatloaf that we put together this morning, and nice slow in the cooking, and then we're going to take it out to the grill and sear it up. I don't know if you've ever done that before. That is amazing. Gives it that little crunch, little texture, and tastes pretty good. But that's a whole different topic, and so let's get this done. So because then it's grill time. Love me some grill time, boy. Me and that grill, we spend a lot of good time together, and me sitting in the chair out there enjoying the day, and it working away, creating a lot of good smells, a lot of good stimulation of the senses when we're doing that. So, but here we go. Range of motion. Let's get a little text box here. And of course, at my age, range of motion, that's diminishing ever too quickly. But it is what it is. Oh, I don't need that U in there. Range of motion. Okay, so obviously we're talking about range of motion. We're talking about joints. And we've got all kinds of ways that joints are put together, and structurally, and of course function part of that, and strength is a part of that. But when we say range of motion, we're simply talking about, and it's always a strong teacher move there, a little outline format there for you. We are talking about the degrees in which a joint can move. So pretty simply stated there. And of course this is driven by its function, as always in A&P format. Form follows function. We got function, we got performance. Okay, and M perform. Is that right? No, I think that is right. Boy, that's your, again, every once in a while a word just doesn't look right, and so I got to double check myself there. But one of my biggest mistakes is thinking that I make mistakes. Yeah, that's right. No, that's not true. I make plenty. More than my share, that's for sure. More than my share. Oh, I forgot to mention, yep. After lunch, Dr. Pepper time. Love me some Dr. Pepper. All right. And, of course, I just dripped on the desk here. All right. So, and this, how do I want to say this? We'll go that's not what I want. ROM, range of motion, okay, is determined by a couple of factors. No, not that one. And we'll put a little colon here. And again, I never know if it's semicolon, colon. I just do the one that I think feels right, and just wait for somebody to tell me, nope, it should have been the other one, and then we'll know. All right, so determined by, and so we're going to just scoot over here just a little bit to let you know that what we're typing now is underneath the previous mention here. So we got structure, and when we think structure, we think elbow, knees, and what else do I got here? Oh, knuckles, especially at the base. Yeah. So, we're thinking elbow, range of motion here, and of course knuckle, you can do this, and then you can do that, and stuff. And I won't put my knee up here. That would not be a strong teacher move. For one, I'd probably tip the chair back. But that would make a funny video lecture part there, that I'm put my chair back and picking myself back up, and yeah. That would not be a strong teacher move, to tip the chair back. All right, and then next, and again, we'll scoot over here. And we've got strength. And so we're not talking muscle strength here, because we're talking joints. So it's the ligaments. Okay, the strength of the ligament adds to or detracts from, if it's a weak ligament, or ligament that's been weakened over time or whatever. It increases or decreases the range of motion based on its strength. So, like for example, people that are very, very, very flexible, they just have longer ligaments. Okay, so especially like with what's called double jointed kind of stuff, and which is odd to look at, but anyway, that's what we're talking about. They just have a longer ligament that allows for that kind of movement. And then lastly, in this section, make sure you get lined up here, we've got action. And this one we are talking, we're talking the muscles associated with, and the nervous system. So we'll do, and muscle tone. And what I mean by that is, like for example, take those the show, like the Branson show or whatever, you've seen them on TV as well. That's just labeled the Chinese acrobat kind of stuff, or the Circus du Soleil. Well, I'm not saying that right, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And those things that they do, like you can do a standing, push up, but you got only your hands are on the ground and your feet are up. You can do a push up like that, or just the acrobat type things that they do with strength, and maybe put yourself on one arm, standing, pushing yourself up. Those are all things that can be done if you've got the muscle tone to do so, which I would not, and so I will not be demonstrating the one-armed push-up, that with my body supported up in the air, so that will not work. So, but you got to have the muscle tone to pull off the action that you were wanting to do. All right, so that is the first part. You know what? We're just going to keep this text box going because, like I said, it's not a tremendous amount, and we'll just separate them like this as I need to. Okay, so we're talking about range of motion, and so when we're talking about axis of rotation, in other words, what your joints can do as far as creating movement. Those are called axis of rotation, and there are three types. You've got your, and these words not define, but give reference to how many axes of rotation that your particular joint might have. Like some can move in one direction, others can move in two directions, and you've even got some special ones that can move in three directions or three axes of rotations. So you got your monoaxle, which hopefully you can determine from its prefix that it's a single. Okay, these kind of joints can move in one direction. And then you've got your biaxial. And that, of course, is two. And you got your super special ones, your multi-axles, and that is three. That can move in three directions. Yeah, but we'll talk about all that, and then we'll even give some examples, which is right over here, types of these, and again emphasize that, and then we'll get into the movement talk. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some different joints and reference their axis of rotation, give you some examples of what they are, but they're types of joints, so they'll be named based on their structure, and then we'll reference where they are, or at least an example or two of where they are and what their axis of rotation number is. And the back of my neck was itching, so I scooted off camera there, which is a strong teacher move, to scratch the back of your neck off camera. All right, so these are going to be, we'll label this types of joints, and we'll do, it's the structure. I mean, we did types of joints, so I hate to say it like this. So because we did types of joints, we did the fibrous, the cartilaginous, the synovial. So that's not well worded. So let's try that again. Now we'll based on structure. There, something like that. But they do have actual names of the type, so we won't just be making up stuff. Got your ball and socket. Okay, you got your ball and socket there, and of course these are pretty well known. These are your shoulder, and of course hip. And this is, you got a smooth head setting in a cup-like socket. And of course you can imagine your shoulder there. You got the head, okay, of the humerus there, and it's just setting in a little bowl. So something like this, maybe this is a better way to do it. Bowl like this, and so it is one of the multi-axles that I'm getting ready to identify. So it can go like this, okay, it can go like this, and then my third one would be, the joint itself can go like that. That's why your shoulder can go forward and back, and you can raise up and down, and then you can also spin. Well, let me do it this way. I can spin around like that. Looks like I was trying to give you knuckles there for a second. Knuckles, there you go. All right, so that's a ball and socket, and let me put the rest of this, and multi-axle, okay, meaning three. Okay, next type is the condyloid. condyloid joint. And then now we're talking wrist. Okay. And I think I also have, oh yeah, base. Base of the finger. Okay, and so let's, we got that joint. Let's just do it together how many different ways. Okay, I can do this. Okay, it can also go side to side. Of course, I don't do it very well. It's almost like making a circle. And in the wrist, you know, I can do this, and then we can do this as well. Okay, so that would be 2. Okay, oh, picked up my pen like I was going to start writing, but so biaxial, and that's the condyloid. Okay, next up is the old saddle joint. Okay, the old saddle joint, and of course this. Now here you're thinking thumb. Okay, and it's your only saddle joint in your body. I don't know why. I don't know why I said that. Saddle joints are the one, because it's in 2 places. Your clavicle. I'm not sure why I said that. And it's the thumb base. And then where your clavicle, sternum meet. No, not that an E there. I thought I was a little short there. There we go. Sternum meet. And this is, so again, we can think of, again, we can do this. So we can, you know, clap. Of course, this is what allows you to have an opposable thumb, where you can move it. And so we got 2 directions. So we are biaxial. And let's put opposable thumb. Just, I did say it. All right, and that is saddle joint. Next up, the plane joint. Okay, and we're talking about plane joint here. We're talking the bones. Slide over each other to create the movement. And so when you think that, you certainly want to think ankle. So if you think about the way your ankle moves, you know, if this is your foot, and then this is your leg. Okay, when that ankle moves, the bone just literally slides over in kind of that fashion. It's a plane joint, and your vertebrae has it as well, so let's put vertebrae. And this is biaxial. No, not that one. There we go. Biaxial. So that's your plane joint. And then next, you got your hinge joint. And based on that name, you got to be able to come up with these pretty easily. This is, of course, your elbow and your knee. And I was going to type hip, but that's not the case. And this is monoaxial. So your elbow can go this way, okay? And you may be thinking, well, it can go this way, but that's not your elbow. That's actually the shoulder joint moving. So you can go this way, and again, if you try to go that way, that's not your elbow moving. That's the shoulder. So when I do that, that's the shoulder turning, the shoulder joint, the ball and socket up there. So that's monoaxial. And again, the same with your knee, and of course the old hyperextension stuff. When your elbow gets bent back further, or your knee gets bent in the opposite way that it needs to go. And last one, your pivot joints. Pivot joint, and now we're thinking the spine and vertebrae for that. Actually, we're just going to do spine because we're talking the axis and atlas. That's those first two vertebrae back here, and those first two vertebrae, they're dens, the little prongs. And once you get to ANP2 and talk about the nervous system, it'll be a part of that. You'll see that as well. But when we do bones here. But anyway, they're dens, those little points that sit on each other to make them set together. They have a special setup there to where you can nod, and of course that's the nod there. And if you're thinking that we can turn, that's a different setup than what we're talking about right there. So monoaxial, and those are the types of joints based on the different structures that we find throughout the body. And that, in essence, is all of the written notes. And so essentially what we're going to do now, and I'm going to do this, let's blow this up, because I'm going to blow up those pictures anyway. And so if you were wanting to see it all better, there it is. So I will dramatically pause here. 3, 2, 1. That should have given you a chance to pause and write everything down. And if you did that, welcome back. And now we'll move this over here. And now we're going to simply, and I'll do everything on the opposite side now. And actually, we could use a little bit more, it looks like, just so we can see all that stuff. There we go. That should work right there. And let's get a pin out here, and let's see. We used a green in episode 1. So what would be a good silver? We want some silver show up. That's not bad. We could even go a little bit bigger on the size there. Silver it is. All right, so the different types we talked about, you can see the names: ball and socket, okay, hinge, and you can kind of see a mechanical look at the structure. You've got the cup-like surface, you've got the smooth head here, and of course, you got the bone coming off that. And of course, ball and sockets were multi-actual. You got your 3 directions. I mean, this can rotate. This, doing your shoulder, we can raise it up and down. We can go front to back. We can also spin that thing. Looking at a pivot joint here. The pivot joints. Okay, that was the back of the neck was the first and second atlas. They referenced the radius and ulna here that's set off that humerus. So again, the little cup-like thing here, and then you got your smooth head there, and it allows for that joint to pivot off of that. Down here for the saddle joint, one of them was the base of your thumb. And again, in pretty typical fashion, you got to have a smooth, form-fitting scenario here. But now your saddle, you can see just like if a person was sitting on the saddle, that's why it gets that name. But again, it just allows that rotation. Okay, back and forth. The thumb would be the better way of doing that. And of course, we can rock back and forth. You can see because of the way this is kind of formed around, it would allow for motion, to go forward, okay, as it rolls over that edge, the edge right here, okay, and in this side-to-side motion, you can see now that this edge, if it sets in here, could rotate around that edge, and that's what gives you that side-to-side aspect. Okay, and then looking at the plane joint here, okay, the plane joint, we mentioned ankle, and so you've got this situation where you can kind of see that, and this is a hand. Yeah, I didn't have the big meta stuff there. All right, so you can see if we rotate that, that bone is just simply going to slide over, and if we go this way, then this bone slides over into that. And that's the plane joint, and in the condylar joint, okay, which is a pretty cool mechanical look here. Again, that's this joint right here, and that allows you to say, hey, come here. Okay, well, that really would be come here. So, yeah, come here. As I'm telling Avery or maybe a student, or more likely my wife is saying to me, hey, come here. This mess right over here, come here. Who made this mess? Come here. That's what I get a lot of. Or, why isn't this done kind of a thing. But you didn't hear that from me. Nope, no, you did not. All right, so that is the different types that we just kind of went over, and with some good examples there, some good looks at those. So now we will look at these different types here. And again, these are just going to be directional type words that we're going to reference, and not a lot of reason to for me to write it. I mean, the pictures are going to tell a bunch here. So if we're taking a limb or a joint, and if we are bringing it closer to the body, okay, flex on. If we are, or I should say, if we are decreasing the degrees, okay, of the joint in here, this would be roughly. I mean, if you have a line here and a line here for 90 degrees, so we're roughly 45 degrees right there, whereas this would be 180. If that makes sense as far as a circle. So if you decrease the degrees of the joint, that's a flexion. If you increase it, that's an extension. Okay, and feel free to write that stuff down. You can pause this and do whatever. But it's pretty self-explanatory in the picture, so I'm just going to say it. But feel free to write it down. The next types. Okay, so if you have at the zero position, like your hand normally would set, flat like this, even if it was hanging down, it would be flat. It doesn't hang down like this. So zero position. If I bring it back, as you can see in the picture, that's a hyperextension. If I bring it down, that's a flexion, which I don't do super well anymore. But that's just the way it is. And then when we look at, so now we're looking at those two ball and socket joints. Okay, we can flexion. We can bring the arm up. Okay, we can bring it back behind us, and we can also take it out. We can bring it in, and we can roll it. Okay, and again, those are all, and the hips the same way. Raising the knee, extension it down. That's very similar to the. So these are all just ways, different names. And boy, I really got that one big. Let's find the edge here and see if we can't knock that down a little bit. The mouse got up against the keyboard there and was not cooperating. All right, let's try working with that now. And again, so abduction, adduction. If I take it away from the zero position or the natural resting position, abduction. If I bring it back down, adduction. And again, you can do the same with your legs. Any joint. The idea, if you're taking it away from its resting position or bringing it away from elevation, depression, Okay, in this particular one, again, it's the ball and socket, so I can elevate it, I can depress it, return it back down to, and again, just more. I think this is our last one. Yeah. So again, let's bring this in a little bit here. We can see everything. So we got the shoulder, we can bring them forward, we can bring them, take them back, protraction, retraction. And again, if these come up, again, I know I'm not writing anything, which would, and you're maybe saying, well, if he ain't gonna write it, I ain't gonna write it. But that is what it is there. And if these come up in whether questions from the chapter or in a test, I mean, you've got resources. I know in a test you don't have the McGraw resources, but you certainly got a textbook and a lab book and stuff. And but that is the range of motion chat for today, or probably better wordly said, that's the worst range of motion TikTok ever made right there. So, but that is what it is. I do what I do. And so with that, hey, we'll wrap this up. 3:35. Let's see, yeah, right about 30 minutes, man. Look at me, making it nice and short and sweet and hard to beat. But hey, anyway, hey, thanks for tuning us in. Thanks for letting me be a part of your educational journey. I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I mean, it's a great class. Love it. But, I say it way too often. You guys are going to start to believe it before long. So I better know watch out there. But hey, I just enjoy being around you guys. And again, thank you. And again, hope the test went well for everybody. And probably by now we've had a couple more. But anyway, hey, let's get out of here. And until next time, we will say goodbye.